out then. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. So, and so I was looking back on this. We all got shocked last year at how different the market was. And I've been in the mortgage business for a long time. I actually started in 1984. And so I'm running through my mind. It's like, okay, what is this? Because I know how to respond to different markets that we're in. But oftentimes I look backwards and I go, okay, well, what was this like? And then what do I do to fix that thing? And attack it that way. And so I look back and I was thinking, oh, this is very much like 1995. In 1995, we had interest rates that jumped 2% in a matter of about 3 months, and it just shut down the market dramatically. And then it was like, okay, the giant scramble. In California, we're in a boom bust market. We're just we have these incredible times that doesn't happen in Missouri, but it happens here. And then we have super tough times, and it doesn't happen in Kansas City either. But so we've got this this boom bust thing that we've got to deal with, and it's the reality. So I'm gonna so I look back and it's like, okay, 1995, what are we going to do that's different? We've got to respond to the 2023 market different, because that's a different market than the 2022 market. And 2022 was different than the 2020-21, which was, again, it was just like we're mad scrambling to try to figure it out. And then most of us forgot how to be old-fashioned salespeople last year. And that's what it was calling for. And so we're going to talk about like sales tactics that work in this market and what to do. Now, I want you to think about something. If you close a deal, and let's say your average commission is $17,000 on a commission, and then it took you 5 leads to get that commission. So if you take that $17,000 and divide it by 5, that's each lead is worth $3,400, right? That's an age-old calculation. We need to know how many leads we generate, and then we also need to know how many transactions we close in a year, and then that'll tell us how much each lead is worth. But guess what? We're in a unique world right now. And what's happened is the volume of leads has dropped off dramatically, and the volume of sales has dropped off dramatically. So each lead is worth about double what it used to be. So you want to think about that. We've got to take great care of our leads and not let them flounder around out there. And we all let a little floundering happen. So I'm going to jump in and start sharing this thing and stop. And we'll go through this whole thing. In the first part of the presentation. Now, am I sharing the right one? No, I'm sharing the wrong. Are you seeing sales tactics for 2023?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Good. So sales tactics for 2023 and what we need to really to prosper in this year. And so, like I said, I'm a little new. There we go. So here's the thing that's happening. And I get a bunch of the data that I'm sharing with you right now. It comes from Otto. It's a research company that I get data from, also from the MLS and just some other things that I know. I'm a member of a coaching program, and I have been for 23 years. For a long time, it's called a core. So there's realtors and lenders, and we share information. They share it back to me, and that's where this is coming from. So here's an interesting thing that happened. Let me get my super cool little pointer, because this thing works so much better. There we go. So buyers started pulling back last year when mortgage interest rates rose to that 5.5% level. It was pretty dramatic. That's what's highlighted right in there. But the buyers started to pull back. But the interesting thing that happened with that is then sellers pulled back also. So the amount of sales activity, like we're in this very unique world where sales activity, new listings coming on the market, new closed deals, and buyers are all down, right? That's the unique part. And we haven't really experienced that since 1995, 96, and 97, which were 3 really lean years in the real estate and the mortgage business. So we've got to value our leads, know that each one is harder to find and get, but we're at elevated prices. So So we're going to earn still like we used to earn. We just need to close more and be on top of it. And of course, needless to say, not everybody's going to make it through this, but we want to be the ones who make it through this thing and profitably and really profitably. And I think that's really the possibility if we take action. So, and that's what I'm going to talk about, but I want to lay a little bit of background on this thing. So this is a little bit more data that I get from Otto's research. Here's an interesting thing. I've got this. So they've got their little metrics, and they're saying it's flipped now to a strong seller's market, like a strong seller's market in Santa Rosa. But here's the thing that's going on. The number of homes in Santa Rosa, this isn't the whole county, but it's pretty indicative of what's going on. The number of homes for sale in Santa Rosa right now is 132. That's of this week. 132 homes, not counting condos, homes. 132. Normally it should be 280 and rising very dramatically. That's the thing. This time of year, actually, it begins right about the end of January, that the inventory of available homes rises very dramatically at the beginning part of this year, right now, January, February, March, and the buyers start to kick in. They start shopping and looking. But we've got the opposite thing going on. That trajectory line right there is downward. And it's 132, not 280, which is more or less what the average has been. Price decreases, interestingly, have gone up just a little bit. So we were down at that little low point just a little while ago, and that was about 37% of the inventory was being repriced lower. It's up a little bit. So we've got to interpret it into this thing. What's going on? Usually when you have that high of a number on repricing, it means we have rising inventory, but we don't have rising inventory. So what's going on is the market, my guess is sellers, the sellers who are out there who realize their prices might be a little high, and realtors are saying, no, your price is too high, we've got to lower it. And the response is happening relatively quickly. Days on market have grown from the pandemic, of course. Now, if you're looking at average days on market, it's 90. If you're looking at median days on market, it's 63. Each market segment, and I'm going to show you that, has a different days on market and a different absorption rate. So it's really handy to understand what's going on those things. So we're going to flip. So this is today's seller's market. This is today, the way it is right now. Last month, so this is just a month ago, average days on market was a little bit less. The inventory was higher. It was 143 houses. We've declined to 132 houses. And then that price decrease number was about 36%. So, and it had just turned the corner. It was going back up a little bit. So days on market's gone a little bit higher. Inventory has gone about 7% less. And the price decreases have increased about 7% also. So things are moving, but we're seeing things move in a different direction. Also, on their little scale here, they're saying it was a slight seller's advantage. Now it's gone to a strong seller's advantage. So a couple of things here. And again, I just want to establish where the market is, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what we need to be doing to score more leads, more buyers, more sellers to work in this environment. So this breaks down our market in Sonoma County and Santa Rosa into 4 quartiles, up to 1.99 million, roughly a million, down to 772,000 and 629. So each number goes up. It's up to 629,500, up to 772,000, up to 999,000, up to 1.99 million. And so the days on market on the top end are fairly long. It's 91 days. It's funny though, 91 days is not long on market. It's just long on market for us because we're used to something different where the market was moving faster. But I've seen that number be 180 days and or longer. But then immediately when you drop down to the under $1 million price homes, it's 63 days on market. Again, much longer than we were used to, but it's not. It's definitely not an abnormal number. 56 days on market up to 772, and 66 days on market for that 620 up to 629,000. Here's the interesting thing. These are new on market. That's absorbed. Absorbed means inventory that gets purchased and closed. So new on market 5, closed 10. It's not that's indicative of a market that's heading towards a strong seller's market. New on market 4, 3, slightly imbalanced. These numbers change every week, by the way, but they've been running kind of like this. The up to $1 million, 4 new on market, only 1 was absorbed, and then up to 2 million, 1 new on market, 2 absorbed. But this is the biggest market segment that has excess inventory to it. But it's an interesting thing to see what's going on. The days on market has been going down now, and the absorption rate is going up, but the new listings coming on are slower. So we've got a different market coming at us. This is a real interesting chart. So that goes back to right about when the pandemic hit, February of 2020. And then we had that dramatically rising inventory, and then the market just changed. Everybody wanted to buy a house. That was a pretty amazing time to be in this industry. So the inventory dropped and dropped and dropped. Then we had a little increase in inventory in July of 2021. So over a year and a half ago. And then we had that massive drop in inventory all the way down in March of 2022. But notice inventory rose. That's what felt really horrible last year. Then it plateaued out in November and December, and we're down. There's only this little bit of time, and I would say this little bit of time, because when the inventory was increasing, it didn't feel good. It felt bad. So we've got an inventory issue right now, which is weird because in this kind of a market, it feels like it should be a buyer's market, but it's not a buyer's market. It's a market that buyers need to be super active in and not sitting around. This is a little bit more information from Otto's research. They were predicting, this is globally, or not globally, but nationally for the entire country. They were predicting that the total listed inventory was only going to go to 700,000, which is below the inventories of 2019, 2018, and 2017. So we're not going back to big inventory, not going there at all. So who's not a seller or a buyer in 2023? And I think this is really valuable because we need to focus like a sharpshooter on exactly where our market is. So that cohort of people who purchased properties in 2023, or they refinanced in 2020 or 2021, they're not yet active in the market. I get a couple of them who are thinking about moving. So in 2021, I did about 100 and I think the number was about 136 transactions. And then in 2022, it was about the same, about 136 transactions. So, and I stay in contact with all of my previous clients, which is something we'll talk about, an effective way to do that, because they will lead to more referrals for you. But there's a systematic way that we're going to get there. But they're not the ones who we're looking for. We're looking for a different group of people. Every one of those loans that I did was 2.49%. Every one of the buyers, the refinancers, they got 2.49%. They paid whatever the points were. It was either 1.5, 2, 2.5 points that they paid, because it just made sense to get that 2.49% interest rate. Interestingly, at 700,000, their monthly payment, their P&I payment, not the taxes and insurance, was $2,762. Now prices have gone up. So that same house is about 860,000. Interest rates are about 6.375%. That monthly P&I payment, $5,365. It's not quite double, but it's almost double. And throw in higher property taxes on top of that, and then property insurance seems to have been going up too. So the point is, let's not focus on those folks, because there's a different thing that we get from them, our previous clients, and that is referrals to other people. who are interested in buying or selling property, but they're too fresh with that 2.49% unless they've got one of the big things that's happened to them. So the big things, and these are all the old-fashioned things that we look for: job transfers, divorce. It's funny, I've had 2 of these already. Divorces that, like, it doesn't matter, we got to move. That's where it's going to be. First-time home buyer. And here's an interesting thing about first-time home buyers. We all think of them as they're buying their first home and it's a starter home, right? It's the cheapest property that's available in Sonoma County. That's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of people who are stepping into home buying right now, that they're buying their first home and they're buying in the 2nd and 3rd tier. They just haven't been a home buyer for 3 or more years. And so now they're coming back. Do you know, I had at least 5 clients they read the market, they were going to time the market. They listed their homes for sale, sold them fully with the intention of jumping back in when the market crashed. So we've had the market crash, right? It's behind us now. The market is not going to go crashing down with inventory at 50% of what it should be. So I've got one couple, they moved to their mobile home, or like a mobile home that you drive around, right? And they drove it to the KOA campground, and they were going to wait a year or 2 and then buy a home. They're still at the KOA campground in Petaluma. It's never a good idea to time the market. Sick of California, people moving out. We've seen that number dwindle down, and love California and moving back in. We never hear about those folks, but they're moving back in. And the ones who left, and because they hated California, there's something, you know, like propelling them to get out, they sneak back into the state. They don't make a big deal about it, but they're coming back. They're coming back, and it's really funny when they come back and they're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have moved to Arizona. It's really hot." Or they want to buy a bigger home. You know, bigger home, smaller home, make that lifestyle change. They should be, and this is one of the things, and I've got a slide in here that I want to show you something on. They should be all thinking about buying more real estate. It's the almost brain dead way to become wealthy is buy real estate, and you don't need to buy a lot of it. California blesses us with very high property prices. So if you have your house and 1 more property, you're going to be rich. If you have your house and 2 properties, you're going to be richer. Like it's that simple. The hard part in California, and I can say this because I've been here a long time and owned real estate that entire time, is you have to weather the storms that we have. So that's our tricky part: buying it and then holding on to it long enough. So I say it here, you know, sales tactics. We lost a lot of our sales ability in 2020 and 2022, and it didn't feel like we all picked it back up again in 2020 and 2021. We lost it. 2022, not so easy to say that many twos. To like get back to being salespeople, because it was easier not to, and so we forget. But here's what you got to be doing. We got to be calling friends, family, and clients. And you got to be inviting them to special client events. And so a client event is a pumpkin party. It's fall, you buy a bunch of pumpkins and you have them at your house, and people can come by and have a glass of wine or a soda or something with you, and they get to pick a pumpkin and they bring their family, and you have a great time with it. Or my brother, I live out on a vineyard in West Sonoma County, and my brother lives right next door, and I've got the vineyard, he's got a little winery, and so I'll have a wine tasting event, and I'll have at my property, and I'll have, meet the winemaker. My brother and his sons will be there, and they're all, so people come, and my clients will come, and we'll drink wine and yak it up and have a good time. It's really, really quite fun. Little special events like that, 2 to 4 times a year. Now, in my coaching program, we're coached to make a lot of outbound sales calls. Like, and if you're not making outbound sales calls, that's the very first thing that you need to think about is I have to make outbound sales calls, not inbound sales calls. Those don't count. They count for making money, but they don't count for sales activity. So in my coaching program, when I'm told you got to make X amount of calls a day, I'm like, my brain always goes, okay, who do I call and what do I say? So I'm telling you right off the bat, the very first call you should be making is your family, friends, and previous clients. Every one of them, they need to know about you. And then your next thing is going to be like, well, what am I going to say? And so what you're going to say is you've got, and these are lists of all these different types of calls that you can make. There's 5 different types of calls. So you're going to call about special client events. If you have 4 special client events a year, like you have, some people like to do the Brian Buffini thing, you know, the pie giveaway at Thanksgiving. Great. Call all your database. You can do a pie giveaway at Easter time too. You can do a pie giveaway any time of the year. You can do, there's Easter, you know, like Easter egg hunts for adults. I did this with my kids. It's really hilarious. As adults and their spouses, my wife and I put the plastic eggs that come apart, and we put inside the plastic eggs money, right? Like a rolled up dollar bill, a rolled up $5 bill, a rolled up $10 bill, a $20 bill, and a couple of $100 bills. You've never seen adults behave so hilariously as you you hide them around, and they find out there's money in the eggs, and that they can actually, and that there's a couple of golden ticket ones, right? The $100 bill ones, right? And so you can have an Easter egg hunt at Easter time for adults and children. Make them fun and happy like that. I did one summer we did a summer 4th of July client party, like an old-fashioned barbecue, hot dogs and hamburgers, potato sack races. So we bought potato sacks. We did the egg on a spoon race, and there was gifts and prizes for people who won and attended. And you just give away little things. It was great, great, great fun. So you do 4 special events a year for clients, and you call them, and you're going to call your clients, you're going to call your friends, and you're going to call your family and have them all come. It's so much fun. It's not even funny. You're like thinking, this is work. Like, I'm having a good time. How can this be work? Well, that's the best kind of work that we want. The next thing is special real estate classes. You guys might not know this, but everybody on the planet wants to know what's going on with the real estate market all the time. Everybody. You can't inundate them with too much information. So you could be having a class, and I'm gonna do a little role play and show you how to make some of these calls. But they're super easy. So think about specialty classes. I've done a first-time homebuyer class. I've done a rental property class. I've done a buy a house with nothing down class. I've done buying apartment buildings classes. I've done investing in land classes. You can do all of those classes and do 4 of those a year. Now, so you're going to do a homebuyer class, and I've done a homebuyer class, just a generic homebuyer class. And in the homebuyer class, you can teach anything and everything about what goes on in real estate. And then there's some great slides in here that you can steal and use in your homebuyer class. But everybody wants to know what's going on with the market, how to buy more real estate, what to do with their real estate, where to go with it. Is the world blowing up? Like, it's not, by the way. This is a great time to be buying real estate. Interest rates are low. Everybody thinks they're high. They're low. They're about 2.5% below inflation. Normally, they're 2.5% above inflation. So they're low. Now's a great time to buy. Inventory is very low. Buy before it gets worse. Or if you need to sell and reposition your assets, now's great. But anyway, these real estate classes, super valuable for our database. And now imagine you're supposed to call your previous clients, your friends, your family regularly. And now so far I've given you 8 reasons to call, because you're going to call and say, hey, I wanted to invite you. Heather, I'm hosting a class on first-time home buyers, and I just wanted to see if you knew of anybody who was interested in coming to a first-time home buyer class. Now, that's a little trick right there I just did, and I want you to adopt that trick. So whenever I'm calling, if you've ever done cold calling, of which I've done a lot of it, and you've ever had rejection, which I've had a lot of it, it hurts, right? It just hurts your feelings. It's like, oh, and then you get that one rejected call, and then you stop making your phone calls. So my little trick is this: I take the object and I move it over here, right? And I'm over here. And so when I called Heather, I said, hey, Heather, it's Otto. I'm calling. I've got a class that I'm teaching on first-time home buyers. Do you know anybody who you think would be interested in going? And she says, no, I don't have it. I don't know anybody who's interested. Guess what? She rejected the offer that's out here. She didn't reject me. She rejected the offer, right? So now I'm fine. I didn't get my feelings hurt because if I said, I'm hosting a class, do you know anybody? Do you want to come to my class? And she says no, then it's a rejection of me personally. But it's over here, it's a class. It's rejected. Now, here's the next little trick when we're making phone calls is I roll to what's called a forward conversation, right? So I've made an offer. I make the offer quickly. So my phone call always goes, it's very simple. Structured phone call goes like this. I'm calling Heather. So a woman answers the phone, that's Heather. I'm assuming it's Heather if it's a woman. If it's a man's voice, then I'm going to go, I'm calling Heather. But I'm always going to say, hey, Heather, it's Otto calling. Do you have a second? And she'll go, yeah. They always do, by the way. They always will say, yeah, I do. I go, Heather, I'm hosting a class on first-time home buyers. Do you know anybody who's a first-time home buyer who might be interested in learning how to buy a house? And they go, no. And I go, cool. Hey, so you bought your house last year. Now, Ford. So we go to a Ford conversation, right? So I want to talk about Ford stands for family, occupation, recreation, or dreams. Any one of those four. Just pick one of them. My favorite is to talk about upcoming vacations. So it's President's Week next week. I go skiing in Tahoe 2 times a year. So that's on my mind. I go skiing. It's a ski season, right? So I'm going to go, hey, Heather, you got any great plans to go up to Tahoe and go skiing or do anything like that? And Heather's going to go, no, I don't ski. What are you great? I grew up in the snow. I don't want anything to do with the snow. And then it's like, oh, cool. What do you do? What's your next big vacation? And then she's going to tell me whatever her next vacation is that she's coming up on, right? So as the calendar year moves around, I'm going to log on to different events, right? So my ski week is next week. I'm going to go skiing next week. I'm super excited about that. So I'm going to talk about that. So I would just say to Heather, I was like, oh, so well, what are you going to do? What's your next vacation? And she's going to throw out whatever her next vacation is. Whatever she likes to do, that's fun. No, I don't really like to go anywhere, but we're just going to go to the coast and hang out and do that sort of thing. And I'll go, oh, that is so cool. I really love spending time on the coast too. Well, I've got this next week planned for my ski trip. I'll let you know how everything goes. Hopefully I don't break a leg. Anyway, Heather, thanks so much for talking to me. I'll talk to you later. Click. Done. So that's the anatomy of a phone call. And if you take the object that you're calling about and you move it away from you and make it not about you, then they can reject that. And you're fine because it's not you that got rejected. And now you roll to the forward conversation. You pick it ahead of time, family. I could ask Heather about her family. Hey, how's your family doing? If I really know her intimately, like her husband's name or her child's name or her dog's name, then I would ask on that, like that's super bonding. And then she would answer it. And then I would just roll a little bit. I've got, if I asked her about her pet and she told me a little bit about her pet, I would tell her about I have twin male cats that are the most obnoxious animals I've ever experienced in my life. They rip up my expensive carpet. They go behind the artwork and knock it off the walls. They're just, and I like them. I don't understand why I still like them, but I like them. And yet they're ripping up I've got a very expensive yak wool carpet from somewhere in the Himalayas, and like they chew the corners of it. And so I can relate to whatever she's got going on there. So I like holidays because they just work, upcoming vacations and holidays, athletic things. If you like to do that stuff, that's what we do. So that's the anatomy of a call. So we bounce to the Ford. She runs off. I ask her a question. She'll answer it. I'll tag in to just join it and be friendly, and then thank her for taking my call. And I'll tell her, hey, it was great talking to you. I'll talk to you a little bit later. Now I'm going to show you a close that I want to throw on your calls, but I'm going to show that to you a little bit later on. So back to the types of calls. So we talked about special real estate classes. There's tons of them. Do four events a year. Call your previous clients, your family, your friends. If you're tracking your leads, then you can call your leads and invite them to that, and they'll love it. New listing agent, new buyer, new listing call, new buyer call. So I go to the Realtor MLS tour meeting. I go to the Sebastopol one and the Santa Rosa one. And then there's my tour sheets, right? I save them on my desk, and then I take some notes and I come back to the office. And the very first thing I do is I'll pick out a couple of properties, and we call them TBDs, so to be determined. That's somebody who's pre-approved, but they haven't found a house. And some of them can be forever. They can be like a year or 18 months long. And so David Camp, oh no, that was that his? Yeah, that was his. David Camp in Sebastopol had a 2-unit property on 5 acres. And so I called 3 TBDs and said, hey, I was just in Sebastopol at the Realtor meeting, and there was a listing I liked, and I think you should know about it, right? So I'm not a real estate agent. I'm a lender. So I'm making this call to people, right? So you can do the same call to everybody you know. And when I say that, family, friends, previous clients, and any leads that you have that you're tracking. It's a great call. So the call would go somewhat like this, and this will be familiar to you again. So I'm going to call Heather again. Ring, ring. Heather. Hey, Heather, it's Otto calling. How you doing? And she's going to say, great. Everybody always says, great, or I'm well. And I'll go, great. Hey, Heather, I was at a listing. I saw this property that's just newly listed for sale, and it's a super cute little building, right? So I'm moving that over here because it's going to get rejected, but I don't mind rejection, right? So I move it. It's a super cute house. It's like this, a 3-2 in Montgomery Village. It's as cute as could be. You don't happen to know anybody who's thinking about buying a house in Montgomery Village, do you? And if she does, and it has happened to me where they go, yeah. And I go, that's great. Can I have their name and number so I'll call them and go show them this house? But more often than not, it's like, no, I haven't thought about, I don't think about anybody. It's like, oh, great. Well, Heather, listen, if you happen to bump into somebody, let me know, or let them know about me, because this is the killer little listing. And now I'm gonna. So Heather, what you got any great plans for vacations coming up? No? Yes. So whatever she answers, then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going back to the Ford call. I told you, I like vacations. I schedule 4 of them a year. And so I'm talking about vacations. And then I'll say, well, oh, that's great. Whatever you're going to do, I'm heading off to Tahoe next week for a little bit of skiing. I'll give you a call and let you know how things go. Hey, Heather, it was great talking to you. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you later. Click, right? Now I'll give you the close in a little while, but that's it. So now let's say you've got a buyer and you're calling your friends, your family, your previous clients. And you go, same call, ring, Heather. Hey, Heather, it's Otto giving you a call. How's it going? Oh, great. That's fabulous. Hey, I was calling just because I've got a new buyer client and they're looking for a house in where whatever Heather's neighborhood is, you know, and they're looking for a house in that neighborhood. You wouldn't happen to know anybody who's thinking about selling in your neighborhood, would you? And he's going to go like, so I've got it over here still, right? I'm way over here. It gets rejected. It does not hurt my feelings at all. And Heather goes, no, actually I don't. And then guess what I do? Roll to the Ford conversation all over again. So now it's not wintertime anymore. It's springtime. And so I'm talking to Heather and I'm like, hey, you got any plans for the summer vacation? Or I could flip it to family or recreation. Mine is recreation, dreams, occupation. But I go, hey, have you got any plans for the summer vacation? And she'll tell me whatever the summer vacation plans are. And then I'll tell her mine. And then I'll say, hey, thanks so much for taking my call. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And I'll give you the close in a little bit. So now at this point, you should be thinking, okay, well, this is freaking easy. It's like, does anybody do me a favor? Somebody raise their hand and say, this is easy, please. It's easy to make these phone calls. I literally make 13 outbound sales calls a day, 5 days a week, 75 calls a week, outbound sales calls. I can do 13 any day, and it's easy. I've done as much as 25 in a day, and that's a little bit more of a challenge to go that big, but 13. So if you look at your calendar and you go like, oh, I made one outbound sales call today, then you know you can do one outbound sales call. Do that 5 days in a row, and now you've made 5 times as many outbound sales calls. Because I guarantee that you're not, if you don't have a tracking system and a consciousness about making outbound sales calls, you will not make outbound sales calls. But that's our job. We're salespeople. We have to make outbound sales calls and talk to people. The last one on this list is annual review calls. So anybody you've sold a property to, your family or your friends who own property, or family or friends who rent property, gets an annual review call. So you're calling them. The purpose of the annual review call is like, I'm calling somebody and it's the exact same format, right? So I hear the voice, I'm calling Heather, it's a woman's voice, I just assume it's Heather, right? And so I'm gonna say, hey Heather, it's Otto giving you a call again. I just wanna let you know it's time for your annual review. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share some information with you about the value of your home, where interest rates are at right now, if it makes sense for you to do anything. And I just want to ask you some questions to update some of my information in my file. Is that okay? She's going to say yes or no. And if it's a no, I'll schedule a time. And if it's a yes, then I'll just ask the question. So if your lender doesn't share with you your client's date of birth, guess when you get it? Right now. So Heather, what's your date of birth? And she'll go, oh, okay. Or sometimes they'll say like, oh, why do you want that? And I'll just say, because I want to send you a little present. And then they go, oh, okay. They laugh and you get that. And then you put it in your database or in your CRM. I use Outlook, and it pops up and it says Heather's birthday today. So I send her a happy birthday card and give her a phone call, right? Talk about nice, fun, little valuable stuff that goes on there. Then you'll talk about the value of the property, how much their mortgage was when they bought the property, ask them how, do they know how much the loan amount is? Have they refinanced it? Haven't they refinanced it? And you give them an idea of what you think the value of that home is. And not a CMA, but it's just an estimate of value. They're, by the way, your clients and your friends and your family are going on Zillow and Redfin to get those numbers. They're there because everybody's curious about real estate because they want it. So you give it to them. So there's the calling. Pardon me. There's the calling schedule that we use. Those are the calls that you're going to use to call your family, friends, and previous clients and I'll say leads. If you generate, as you're generating a lead, you've got to have a method for tracking it. And I can share that with you, but that's a great set of calls to make to them. And it will, by the way, keep leads who are inactive right now from going somewhere else because you're in contact with them. Otherwise, they lose contact with you and they end up buying somewhere else with somebody else. The next thing that we've got on the list is the EOS stands for Evidence of Success Postcard. So EOS, Evidence of Success Postcard, you send that to your friends, your family, and your previous clients, and your anybody who's any lead that you have. You want to stay in contact with them. So it works like this. I don't have this in a format that I can show you. I've actually got it printed out. And what it is, it's a little postcard. So you can take to a printer and have them do take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and then you put 2 postcards on it, top and bottom. And the format is very simple. You tell your clients about clients that you just helped. So the format is, dear friends, just wanted to tell you about some people I was able to help. They were referred to me and they had a problem. And then you tell them what the problem was, and you tell them in the postcard how you solved the problem. And then you say, if you know anybody who has this problem, please have them give me a call and I will help them. P.S. I work with, and then whatever property type that is. So here's a funny thing that all of us forget. You help somebody buy a condo. They have no idea that you can help them sell a condo. They also have no idea that you can help somebody buy a house. They have zero idea that you can help somebody sell a house. They don't know that you can work with somebody who's buying a fourplex. They don't know that. They have no idea about that. Or that you can help somebody buy land, or country property, or list country property, or sell the buyer side of country property. They don't know that. We know it, but we don't share this stuff with them. So in your evidence of success, you're sharing different property types, buyers and sellers. You're talking about, if you get a little bit of loan information, you can throw that in there, how you helped this VA buyer or that FHA buyer or that non-owner occupied property. Then your people, your center of influence, your sphere of influence, then they know all the stuff that you do. It's shocking when you start mailing these postcards out, they start referring you. And there's another added little benefit to this thing. It's an ongoing conversation. So you'll be calling on a regular basis, but they'll also be getting a postcard. And so they're having a conversation with you in their minds. And every time you talk to them on the phone, it's like a super warm conversation. Now, there's mailing houses that'll mail out. I've got my database of people that I mail to is about 800. And it costs me about $560 a month to mail out to them. So that's production of the postcard, the permit, for the mass mailing permit that goes out, and that whole thing taken care of. I just write the little story on mine, and then it goes out on a regular basis. If you guys are not on, if any of you are not on my video email, shoot me an email and I'll add you onto my video email. So I email out about 700 videos a week on Friday talking about stuff, and you'll start seeing how videos work. And there's some little tricks to doing video marketing. So I do it. I've been doing it for years now, video marketing out once a week, and I talk about things. So you want to keep the video to 1 minute or less. I use BombBomb or CoVideo. Those are the 2 video programs that I use. co-video from appears to have a better penetration rate than BombBomb, but it doesn't matter. They're super easy to function with and not very expensive. And so, but you can also shoot a video on this thing, your phone, right? You can just shoot a video and send it off to 10 people at the same time. Or you can shoot a video and send it to one person once, a video like that. So I do chunks of videos to different people. I've got videos that go out on Friday. That's sort of the, it's called What's Next, going on with what's gone on in essentially what's going on weird or strange in the real estate world, specifically designed for realtors. And then it's designed so that you could go as a realtor and go like, oh, I just learned something, and I can go and talk about that to people. Like when we're calling people, we always need to have something to talk about. Well, here's one source of information, but you can be sending that to all of your friends, family, and previous clients and leads, and they're going to get that video. You can also send the state of the market. So everybody wants to know what's going on with real estate all the time. And so like a quarterly video email to all your previous clients, friends, family, leads, what's going on the market. I gave you, what's going on with the Altos thing, like inventory's crashing, buyers are absorbing, and we don't have inventory. The market's going to get tighter, not better. There's going to be less activity, but it's not going to be, there's no crash coming. Like, deliver that message. And then, as I said here, the evidence of success. People do different things. I used to pick up my mail and I take it out of the mailbox, walk to the garbage can, lift the lid on the garbage can, look at the mail and throw it in one at a time into the garbage can. And if I found something to read that I thought was interesting, I'd look at the headline and I go, oh, I'll just read that. By the way, I forgot to mention that on your EOS postcard, it's a headline. Like, Otto helped me save $10,000 when I bought a house. Somebody will read that postcard, right? They'll read it, top of mind, throw it away. That's what it's designed for. We're not worried about it. The EOS video, you can do the same thing. You can shoot a video. Hey, I just want to let you know how I helped some clients save $5,000 when they bought a house. Just any little thing that we do works super well. Okay, Heather, give me an idea. We're going on we're 53 minutes in. Am I too much? Too little?
No, I think you're great. I had originally said until 2:30, but I didn't expect you'd go that long. But I'm sure people will pop off if they need to. You can put questions in the chat if you. There is one question. Let's see. Let's just look at these really quick. So for the Ford family occupation recreation, what's D?
Dreams.
Dreams. Okay,
Dreams.
awesome. I put your contact info in there as well. And then you said, what's the video email you said other than BombBomb you said works well?
Well, Co-Video is one of the emailing programs, that video messaging programs, or BombBomb. And then what I do is I send out a Friday realtor email video that's called What's Next, and it's talking about the market, what's going on, and it's very short. It's just designed to give you as a realtor information that you can then turn around and talk to other people about.
Awesome, thank you. No, I think you can keep going. I think there's lots of great information, so if I would say bring it on.
Okay, well, I'll try to wrap it up by 2 to let you guys go from there. But
perfect.
There's lots more, but we don't need it starts becoming a little too much. So the other sales tactic that I want to talk about, these are like the 2 big things that realtors should be working on that are going to generate business right now in this market. So we call them VIPs, very important people. So and what you want to do, you want to think about it as your own personal BNI group. Now, we've all been invited to a BNI, like, hey, we're interviewing for a lender position for a BNI group, or we're interviewing for a realtor position for a BNI group. We all want that because we cherish that one. We're going to get all this easy business. But you can create your own BNI-like group by just focusing on the 7. I put 7 people in here. It's really the first 4 are the ones that you need. But then I've heard from realtors in my coaching program, hairdressers, the nail lady, and a personal trainer are like super referral sources. And what's going on is they're people who see and talk to a lot of other people. That's who we're looking for in our own personal BNI. People who interact with lots of other people. And I mean, is there anybody who sees more people than a hairdresser or a nail lady? Just zero, no. And once they know what you do, they'll talk about you. But the other ones are property managers, financial planners, like, and I'm not talking about 10 financial planners, 1 financial planner, 1 trust attorney. So here's a little trick with trust attorneys. And this works with financial planners also. So a financial planner doesn't want his or her clients to take all their money out of their investment account to buy a house. They want them to take the least amount of money out. So that's first thing to know, that, but you as a realtor want them to liquidate everything and pay all cash so that you win. So that's a little odd dichotomy that goes on there. But when you're talking to a financial planner, you know that that's a red flag for them. So be conscious of that when you're talking about it, that you don't do that. And then the other thing, like with trust attorneys, there's people who have a lot of money and low income. They tend to be older, but not always. They tend to have saved up a bunch of money, sold a property, they've got a bunch of money with their financial planner, and it's not an IRA or a retirement account. Now, I can take IRA and a retirement account money and turn it into an income source for qualifying. That's super easy to get them. But I can do the same if their money is in an investment account, a non-IRA, non-retirement account. But I need a trust attorney. I need them to have a trust. And then from that trust, we can create a trust distribution, and that becomes income for them for qualifying. Little trick, very few people know it. Now you guys all know it. So, but that's also a great way for you to call a trust attorney and go, hey, I just wanted to get to give you a call and get to know you a little bit. I have some clients from time to time that need trusts, the standard living trust that most of us should have. Do you think I could come over and meet with you and see if we fit together? And then go and have that meeting with a trust attorney or 2 or 3. And find one you like, and then they're part of your VIP list. And so your VIP list is exactly that. You call them on a regular basis, once a week. You want to build your list as big as you can. But if you had a 7-person VIP list and you were talking to them regularly, not about them giving you business, but about how you can help generate business for them, they'll take your call and talk to you, and they will reciprocate. So you want to build a relationship with them, and you want to help them. So building a relationship is literally knowing more about them. So if I know my financial planner, her adult daughter is like the super brilliant financial planner. She's remarried, has a blended family with four kids. I can talk to her about her stepsons and her biological children, about what's going on. She's now my financial planner. I can talk to her about her vacations in Tahoe because I know things about her. I know when her date of birth is, right? So the more I have of somebody's information, the more I can build a relationship with that person, and the more I can drive business in their direction. And when I drive business in their direction, then I'm having a relationship and they're driving it back to me. So there's 2 areas of business that we want to work on. So I'm going to wrap it up right here because we're right at an hour. 2 areas: the VIP list, and you've got who to call and what we're going to talk about. And then I'll back it up a little bit. And then your family, friends, and previous clients, and calling them and making outbound sales calls. So I'm going to challenge you to this. Start writing down. I do this thing. Everything I'm telling you to do, I do myself. So here's a daily calendar at a glance. I put them all together. Like each day I'll print out a new one and I'll put it on there. It tells me what I'm doing all day long. And then on the side of the calendar, let me see, I write things down here, right? So as I'm calling people, I'm writing things down so that I don't have to think about where am I writing it down? Oh, I wrote it on a piece of paper. Where's that piece of paper at? It's right on my calendar. Then at the end of the day, I input it into whatever system it needs to be input. But here's the challenge. I want you to start making outbound sales calls. Use the format that I gave you and count how many actual outbound sales calls you make in a day and then in a week, and be conscious of it this week. And then look at that number and go like, okay, I need help to get better. And you've got within your organization, you've got Heather's going to be great at helping you, just like texting her, hey, I made one outbound sales call. And she's going to respond like, John, great job making one outbound sales call. That's phenomenal. I'm so proud of you. Like, let's see if we can do it 5 days a week. And if you did that, that's 5. And if you did that 52 weeks in a year, that's 2. What is that? That's a huge number, right? We just start doing a little bit and then you start building it. Now I've got so that's 25 times 52. That's 13. Wow, it's 1,300 outbound sales calls in a year if you make one outbound sales call a day. And I guarantee you, when you pick up the phone the very first time, it will weigh 3 million pounds and it's turned into an alligator and you're scared to death of it. But if you make that call, then you'll have done it and then you'll move on, and do it just one call for each day for a week, and then go like, I'm still alive. I'm still alive. It's funny. I've got I'll wrap it up with this. I've got my son works with me in the mortgage industry, and he and I go out on a builder run. So I'll go out to new home subdivisions so that they know who I am. So when a client of mine makes an offer, they don't try to jar that client away. And so I took him to 2 on Friday. One was closed, surprisingly, and then the other one was open. The other one was the site agent was an iceberg. She's like, no personality, not pleasant, that like doing everything except being snarly. The first time I walked in, she literally yelled at me because she was so mad at the lender who she just got off the phone with another lender and was incensed. And my son was like, well, why do you go see her? And I go to see her so that I know how bad the worst thing is. Like I walk out, I have no bite marks on me. She hasn't punched me, right? I make her do a few things. Like I handed her the Tuesday tour. I said, here, it's the Tuesday tour. Look at it. She had to take it from my hand. But it just causes her to stop and go like, and me, it's like, hey, that's as bad as it gets. That's as bad as it gets. And it's really not that bad. So make your outbound sales calls, call them, do that, whatever number you do today. If hopefully it's not 0, if it's 0, do 1 tomorrow, and then do that all week long. And then we'll go from there. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me an email. Heather, you've got my email. Yeah, you've got my email. We just did the email thing. And we'll go from there. All right, guys, I'm going to stop sharing.
All right. Thank you so much, Otto. Questions? Does anyone have any questions or things they'd like to dive into a little more?
I'd love his email, Heather. This is Patty.
Hi, Patty. Okay, I put it in the chat. Can you get it, or you want me to just email it to you?
Yeah, email it to me, because this whole Zoom thing on this thing, I can't find anything.
Not working?
So-
No problem. I will email it to you right now.
Oh, thanks, Heather. I appreciate it. And this
Yeah.
was a great class. Thank
Good.
you so much.
Good, thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
I think so many of us get just in our heads about how hard phone calls are, but I love the thing where you say, put it over here, and it's not them rejecting you. It's something you're offering, it's not you though. I love that.
Yep.
Me too.
Any questions or anything? Looks like, I think you were very clear, so not a lot of questions, so.
All right,
Okay.
great.
Otto, thank you so much. Otto is a great resource. If you have any needs, feel free to reach out to him. And I have all his contact info if you didn't get it in the chat. And thanks again, Otto, and everybody have a great day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.